This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we celebrate the return of sports at Bates after a 2-week layoff. Join us as we talk about strong performances from our tennis, rowing, and golf programs. That's coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The lacrosse teams returned to action on Sunday, but both squads fell in their respective NESCAC openers to Colby. The men were at home on Garcelon Field and led the Mules by a goal at halftime. But Colby controlled the second half, defeating Bates 17-10. First-year Will Masterson paced Bates with 3 goals in the contest. On the women's side, Bates played number 8 nationally ranked Colby close through the first half before the host Mules pulled away for an 18-5 win over the Bobcats. Senior captain Summer Dias led the Bobcats with 2 goals and 1 assist to go along with 5 draw controls. The tennis teams traveled to Hartford, Connecticut on Sunday, and both the women and the men defeated NESCAC foe Trinity in their conference openers. The women rolled to an 8-1 win over the Bantams. Senior captain Hannah Sweeney won handily at number 1 singles, defeating her opponent in straight sets 6-2, 6-3. She also teamed with fellow senior captain Haley Washington to win 9-7 at number 2 doubles. And Hannah Sweeney is our female Bobcat of the week. Hannah, let's start with doubles. You had a fellow senior captain, Haley Washington, as your doubles partner, but you told us before the interview you hadn't really played with her before that much. And so what's that been like building that chemistry as seniors as this doubles team?
Yeah, I mean, this year, obviously was so different just because we didn't really know if there was going to be a season. And then it's just been all up in the air. So one thing that kind of coach has told us from the beginning is just like flexibility and, kind of just like taking things as they go. So we kind of, we started off the season, we didn't even know if we were going to be able to play doubles. And then, he just has been kind of trying different pairs. And Haley and I have both been, with each other for the past 4 years on this team together. And we haven't necessarily ever played doubles together, but, we're comfortable. We know each other's games. So it seemed like a good fit. And also a good opportunity for the other girls to kind of, get a chance to try and play who are younger, who might be, pairs future seasons. So it's fun.
Great. Well, take us through the match, a 9-7 victory, tight one, right?
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a different kind of, structure to the match because typically we play doubles first and then singles second. But then this time we flipped it. So even Haley and I were both kind of saying it was definitely a weird mental adjustment to play a full singles match, kind of feel like you should be done because that tends to be where your mindset is at. Like, I finished, I'm tired. Like, you're definitely more physically tired after, 2 hours of a singles match. So it was definitely kind of, you had to reboost your energy. You had to get back out there. It's a totally different mental mindset. But so there were definitely times where we were kind of struggling with that in the beginning, but we were able to get back at it and finish out strong, which was good.
Well, you won your singles match in straight sets. Haley had to work pretty hard for hers there, third set tiebreaker. And so what was she feeling it maybe a little bit more in terms of, having to play doubles right after, I suppose, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and also she just came off the court and had just won. And then I had been sitting for some time and it was getting cold. So it's definitely always an adjustment. And it was our first doubles match in forever, and our first doubles match as a pair. So definitely, we kind of had to work through mental adjustments, but had fun. And it was fun to play alongside the other girls too, because we were all in the same boat. So it went well overall.
Coach Gassingay told us before the season that he felt like this women's team was probably the deepest he's ever had at Bates, and he's been coaching them for a while here. And so, how do you see this team? There's some really young talent and some good experience too with you and Haley and whatnot, right?
Yeah, it's really exciting. We definitely have a younger team, a team on the younger side. There's a lot of sophomores. We have new freshmen. But that's really exciting to know that we're already really strong. And especially a lot of these girls have never had collegial play yet. And even the sophomore class really didn't get much of experience with that last year, given everything that happened in the spring. So it's really exciting to see just how deep we are, given that the experience isn't even always there. And as a captain, a senior captain who's graduating, definitely makes me excited and happy to know that like I have been able to contribute to kind of, a growing program, and that I'm seeing it off, knowing that it's going to keep improving and continue to be as strong as it can be.
Well, the team was off to a very strong start last year. And I think you were on one of the Bobcasts right before everything kind of shut down, but the team was
Mhm.
off to a very good start. And so do you feel like the team's kind of picked up without missing a whole lot of a beat, if you will, or has there been kind of a long training process to get to where you are at this point?
I mean, it's been kind of just like a crazy, like it's hard to even conceptualize like where we were last, over a year ago now. And, there were times when obviously in the pandemic, like no tennis was happening. And then we came back this fall and were able to practice. And then even up until recently, the recent lockdown that kind of put a stall on our training and our playing. But I think that, just and coach even said this yesterday, like the work that we have been able to put in the fall and in the early spring days, just kind of have had to carry us through, and people have put in extra work in this past year, and really put their all into it, which I think is the reason why we have been able to stay strong and compete. And I think we were just really ready to go yesterday too. Like it's been kind of a weird couple of weeks on campus, like not being able to, be as active. And I think people are just excited and eager to get out there and, compete and play tennis. So
I know pretty early morning, right, to make that trip down to Trinity. I mean, what was that trip like?
it kind of felt like old times, honestly. Like traveling with the boys is always fun in our van, and there's always, like hiccups and funny things that happen. So personally, I enjoy that aspect of being on a college team, and it kind of reminded me of why I've loved being a college tennis player so much. So yeah, it was an early morning and a late night for sure. But I think that's ultimately what kind of like bonds the team and gives us kind of like collective stories and kind of just an overall like fun group energy.
And what I understand is the women's match was fairly quick compared to the men's match, right?
The boys had, a couple matches that were lengthy, especially at the end. And we always try and just make sure we keep up the energy for that. It was getting dark. I know the boys had gotten up just as early for us, had supported us earlier on the day, and we were kind of lucky to be able to play like in the beautiful sunshine of the warm afternoon. And it's like dark when they're playing. So in dinner time, but so they had some long matches, but stayed really tough through them, which was fun to see.
Well, this weekend, a couple matches, right? A home match and a road match. How excited are you to finally get to play at home here?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I know it'll be fun to be, outside on, our home courts. It's always like a good environment, a fun energy. And, I think as far as I'm aware, I think this is going to be our one home match this upcoming Saturday, for the girls team at least. So it'll be fun to be on our courts and, one last time, here at Bates.
Great. And then, I mean, in terms of, you touched on this earlier, the kind of the future of the program and you being a senior, it sounds like that's very important to you, and it must be encouraging to see the young players do so well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as you get older, one of like the main goals is making sure that you kind of craft that same environment that, the people who came before you did. And I was really lucky with some of the older girls who were on the team with me when I was an underclassman. And, I've really tried to make that a main goal this year of making sure that, I'm bringing the energy and the intensity in practice and during matches, to kind of lead by example, but also so that they have kind of the right mindset to then become upperclassmen one day too. And especially given this year when we didn't know if necessarily we were competing, for real, that was definitely a huge goal of mine to just make sure that next year when things do kind of, get back into the real full swing and the normal NESCAC season that we'd see, that they're ready to go and that they can, be the best that they can be.
In terms of your personal game, in terms of tennis, what are you working on in this short season? What are you looking to work on, kind of week to week, if you will, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always just kind of, honestly, it's a competing mindset. I think being out of it for so long, I know this week I really tried to get my flow and try to get some point play in. And I think with tennis, I just found that with matches comes confidence, and with match time, comes the ability to compete even better. And so that's just kind of been my main priority, and just taking things as they go. And yeah, just trying to have fun for my last few matches.
And do you know much about your opponents coming up? I know Tufts is always a strong team, but I mean, like, it's you probably don't get a chance to like evaluate who you're going to play or anything, right?
Yeah, not really. I mean, now that I'm a senior, I do know a number of the people since I've been here for a number of years. But I tend to be the kind of the type of person who doesn't always love to get too mental about looking up my opponents before. I just kind of know that I can control what I can control in terms of what happens on my side of the court, and that's been a mentality that I've tried to stay true to throughout these last 4 years. So yeah, I mean, we know the teams, we know how they are, but we also know that we're tough and we know how we are too. So that's kind of just my mindset going in.
Terrific. Hannah Sweeney, our female Bobcat of the week. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
On the men's side, the Bobcats won a marathon battle with the Bantams by a score of 6-3. Bates sophomore Nick Forrester clinched the victory with a big comeback win at number 1 singles. After his opponent took the first set 6-love, Forrester fought back to win 6-4 in the second set, then took the pro set tiebreaker 10-3. Forrester also teamed with first-year Nikesh Desai to win 8-5 at number 2 singles. Forrester is our male Bobcat of the week, and he talks about the experience of competing in his first NESCAC match as a sophomore.
It's kind of crazy to think about it like that, because we have a young team, only 2 seniors, the rest are freshmen and sophomores. So only one person playing had actually played a NESCAC match before, that being Kenny. So looking at it that way, it was kind of a new experience in a way for all of us, having that team atmosphere, traveling together. It was a lot of fun, but it was obviously didn't fully know what to expect first in conference match, because obviously we didn't get any last year.
And the team came away with the victory. You were at number 2 doubles. Tell me about the doubles match, how that went.
Yeah, so I was playing with a freshman, with a first year, Nikesh Desai, very, very strong player, very good competitor. And yeah, we had a great time playing together. Very good energy for all the doubles teams, really, not just us. I mean, yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was, we felt the energy from people that weren't playing, as well as the teams next to us. We got off to a little bit of a slow start. I think a little bit of nerves probably for both of us. But we got settled into the match, and then we ended very, very strongly to come away with that win. And we knew that was going to be an important point for us to get, because we were looking around, we're like, these matches are tight. We're playing a solid team. Obviously they had a lot of guys that hadn't played before. So we were like, this would be a big match for us to get. We're in the lead. So we really wanted to finish strong to get that point at number 2.
How much had you gotten the chance to play with Nikesh in practice and whatnot?
We've been playing since pretty much the beginning of the spring season. So probably about a month, 6 weeks. From the beginning, we were kind of put together the first day. We were like, coach kind of liked how we meshed together, and we love playing with each other. So it's kind of worked out from the beginning, which is kind of nice, because sometimes it's tough to figure out who you kind of gel with in doubles, because it's obviously a lot different than singles. So, but I was glad it was easy, and I'm glad it worked out for both of us and the team as well.
Yeah. What are some keys in your mind to forming a good doubles pair like this?
A lot of it is, to me, a lot of it's chemistry. A lot of it's how you get along in between points. If you have similar play styles, or, I mean, and a lot of it's having energy that kind of balances each other. So we're both pretty high energy. So putting that together, it's like we both play hard. We both really care about how the team does, and we'll kind of do anything for the team. So that's definitely a large aspect for me of who I play with.
Great. And then number 1 singles. So first of all, when you find out you're going to play number 1 singles, and were you feeling much pressure?
I found out the night before. I mean, I based on like practice sets and stuff, like I had a feeling I'd be playing top of the line, but it was definitely before a little bit of nerves, because the best part of being on the team is that team aspect and trying to represent the school as well as my teammates. And that was where a lot of the pressure and nerves comes from. It's not necessarily me winning my individual match. It's more, I want to win as a team so badly, and I want everyone to do well. And playing the first match, it's like we wanted to get off to a good start. Like we were in quarantine for, 2 weeks before, and we didn't practice for 2 weeks. And we only had 4 practice days before we went to Trinity, which is a trip. It was a long day. The women played first. And it was just that aspect of it being the first team match, first time we got to really play together. The energy was incredible from all the guys on the team.
The women played first. So the men are just kind of you're watching, you're supporting, but how are you getting ready? Are you getting ready while the women are playing, or are you mainly just fans at that point?
We were there very early. Like our match didn't start till 3:30. We were there at 12. So we were kind of just relaxing, watching their matches, cheering them on, giving them good energy as well, like they gave us. And then once it got to like 45 minutes before 3:30, we did some stretching, some warming up, and then we got on the courts about half an hour early at like 3. Did a team warm up, preparing for our match at that point, and less focused on how the women were doing. They were doing well, so it was obviously easier to refocus ourselves.
You win your doubles match, and then your singles match at number 1, you lose the first set 6-0. What's going through your mind? What adjustments did you make?
Yeah, I got off to a tough start, to say the least. He was playing well. I was struggling a little bit. I was feeling a little bit of pressure. And then after the first set, coach kind of came over and told me to relax. And then one of my roommates, Kim, came over and told me to just breathe for a minute or two. And it kind of got my mind resettled and refocused on how I can win this next set and get off to a better start and really win this match for the team. I've always had that mindset. I never feel like I'm out of a match until it's over. So even though I lost that set, I was like, this is still my match to win. I can still come back and recover from this situation. And obviously was really excited to do so. And it was really fun having the entire team supporting and having me come back in that match. And then, all the way through the lineup, everyone was battling so hard. Freshman at 3 had a great win against a really solid player. And then at 4, Teddy, sophomore, really battled really hard, got a huge win. And then at 5, my doubles partner played incredible. He lost, but it was still an incredible match. It was so long, and it was so exciting to see. And then at 6, senior captain Alex Kennedy pulled out a big win. They lost in doubles, very close. They had points to win it, and he mentally came back, recovered really quick for singles, and put up a great performance. And that's what it takes to win as a team all the way through. That's what our team has kind of been built on, is staying with each other, doing it for each other, and staying the course. And all you can really control in matches like that is if you're trying your hardest on every single point, win or lose, you can at least be proud of yourself after that. And it was just super fun to compete with as a team again, and obviously can't wait for the next one.
Right, exactly. So the second set you won 6-4. Any key points that you remember from that set that really stand out?
I started very quick in that second set. I actually got up 5-1.
Okay.
And then I had a bit of a mental lapse for a few games. Close games, I was just losing them. And then I was down 15-40 on my serve at the 5-4 game, and I won 3 points in a row to take that set. And that was huge. And then I knew that like the third set, we practice tiebreakers all the time, because like obviously in the shortened format with COVID rules, it's only a 10 point tiebreaker.
Right.
So we practice those situations all the time. So you know what to expect. You know that how important every single point is. You can't take a point off. So I got off to a quick start in the tiebreaker, and then I just kept getting the ball back. I had a few really good shots, and just played solid. And obviously having my teammates cheering from the side, people that had already finished, people from a few courts down that were still playing. Like it really makes you appreciate the atmosphere. And I mean, I I love playing tennis. Like it's like just kind of what I do. So having that team atmosphere built into that as well, it's like it's just so enjoyable being in a tight match, even though there's pressure and stress. You don't really feel it in the moment because it's what you want to do. It's where you want to be. That's why that's why we practice every single day. I mean, even though we had those 2 weeks off, we were still so prepared for that match.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the tiebreaker, normally it would not be like that. It's a little bit different this year for NESCAC matches. Do you enjoy that? It ups the speed, I suppose.
I'm used to it from from junior tennis.
Okay,
that's what a lot of junior tennis is. It's a lot different. It's you don't have time to get yourself into a new set. You don't have the luxury of I guess, like, you always want to play every point hard, but you can't have any mental lapse. You can't lose focus because, I mean, it always comes down to 1 or 2 points. It's like, and in this case, it's like, you never know. An entire match could come down to 1 or 2 points just in that, like, the entire team match.
When you got the clinching point to win your match, did you know that was a team match? Or you know that was a clincher for the team also?
I knew we were up 4-1.
Okay.
So I knew it was the clincher, and obviously everyone else did too. So everyone was super excited, and obviously I was excited that to be in that spot. Obviously I hadn't experienced that before, but I mean, yeah, everyone went pretty crazy. It was like super fun. And I mean, it was me yesterday, but next weekend it could be someone else. It could be anyone on this team. Anyone is ready to be in that position because it's what we train. So, and coach instills like that belief in us that we'll play for each other, and then it'll come down to a close match, and we believe that we have the edge because of how we train. But so yeah, it was cool to be in that situation, get the clinching point. But at the end of the day, it's 1 out of 6 matches that we won as a team. So kind of how I look at it.
Well, you're from Falmouth, right here in Maine. So tell me about growing up. Were you familiar with Bates? It being down the road, kind of. How did it first get on your radar for colleges?
My college recruiting process was actually pretty simple. I mean, coach is kind of like pretty well known around Maine, obviously, and he has a great reputation. So it was like, I looked at other schools, but it was kind of like from the beginning, I kind of knew that Bates was the top of my list, and I wanted to play for coach. And obviously it was a great academic school, so it was just kind of like a good fit all the way around. So I knew about the school pretty early on, and I knew the coach had a good reputation. So I was kind of I was excited. I mean, I committed pretty early, senior year, like before the year started. Obviously, I still had to get in. You never know that, but I was set on going here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, in terms of tennis, when did you first pick up a racket?
I started playing when I was 4. Same coach since I was 4. Yeah, back home, Harvey. Yeah, he's done a great job. I still talk to him. I work for him in the summers now. The last few summers I've worked for him. So, I mean, it's just those connections you build through sport. It's just so cool to look back at now. It's like, I mean, I've been playing tennis for a long time, but I mean, if you enjoy all of it, it's like it kind of goes by really quick.
Excellent. Well, any other thoughts you wanted to share about the weekend and what you're looking forward to the next couple matches you got here coming up?
No, we're super excited to, get back out there practicing, and then get ready for, we have 2 matches this weekend.
Right.
We have Tufts at home, and then we're traveling to Con, another long bus trip.
Yeah.
But no, everyone's in a good spot. Everyone's really excited to keep going. Yeah, it's just, we're looking forward. It'll be a long weekend, but that's why we play college tennis. It's for the team. It's so we can have moments like these. And so, yeah, I'd say everyone's looking forward to it. And in such a short season, we only have 4 scheduled NESCAC matches. So it's like, you really have to put the emphasis on enjoying every single time you're out on the court. And as coach says, like, be grateful for the opportunity, because we didn't know if we were going to have a season before the season. So now that we are playing, it's like, you really got to make sure that you're enjoying every moment and fighting for the team, and kind of have any emphasis on that.
Awesome. Nick Forster, our male Bobcat of the week. Thanks so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
The rowing teams competed in their first regatta since the 2019 head to Charles on Sunday. Both the men and the women won 3 of their 4 races against NESCAC opponents, Hamilton and Tufts. Junior coxswain Evan Saltman had an interesting experience for the men's team, leading the second varsity 8 to victory in the first race of the day before being moved up to the 1V for the second race. Evan, it's been a long time coming, right, for you? I mean, you as a first year, you got some experience. Last year was basically wiped out. So first of all, what was it like to finally get back out of the water with your teammates?
Oh, it's been so much fun. I've really enjoyed just getting in a boat even over the past week, and then finally having the chance to get some energy out, go have fun racing down a course.
Tell me of how you first got into being a coxswain. How did you start with that growing up?
Yeah, so one of my dad's colleagues had read Boys in the Boat, recommended I read it. Great book. And then asked me basically to try out for the sport at my high school team, and I made it as a freshman long ago, and I've stuck with it ever since.
So you never, so some coxswains were rowers first and realized they were maybe too small to be a rower, so they became a coxswain. Have you been a coxswain from day one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's that? How do you first learn? I mean, what was the biggest learning curve to start off, kind of?
I'd say when I first got in the boat, like, you have to figure out how to steer, because safety is the most important thing. You have 8 guys in front of you who are facing backwards. They don't know where you're going. They have to put their trust in you to steer them either down a course, but at the very least stay off the shore. And then over time, you just learn different calls, what to say, and at some point it'll start becoming more natural. But there is a very big learning curve learning the terminology, especially at the very start.
Any stories you remember about, some maybe rough patches or maybe funny moments or scary moments even in the early days?
Well, I still make mistakes in the boat. Like, I think first day this past week, I said the wrong number when I was trying to turn the boat one way, and it happens, but nothing too big.
Right. Tell me how you first got attracted to coming to Bates for college.
I was looking at small NESCACs or just small schools in general, and ended up applying and getting in. So I decided to come here, and I've truly fallen in love with it. Love the campus, love rowing, love the people. It's been great.
So this past Saturday, you had an interesting experience. The first race, you were coxing the 2V, and then you got moved up to the 1V for the next race. What's that like working with 2 completely different sets of rowers, basically?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge. I wasn't expecting to be moved up to the first boat. I understand why the coaches did it, but for the past week, I had been practicing with the 2V. I had been, learning more and more about the people in the boat, what gets them motivated, certain specific calls, and we had created the race plan for that boat. And then I had to, on the spot, adapt it to the first boat, and it was a challenge. And with more time, things could always go better.
Well, what do you learn from the experience? Maybe looking back on it,
being flexible, really important. Always be prepared for what the coaches ask of you.
You mentioned you weren't expecting it. I mean, since you started as a first year, obviously that's been your goal, though, right? To get to that 1V. What is the relationship like between the coxswains? Because you're teammates, but also you are competing like the rowers are, right?
As a coxswain, we work together with the other coxswains on the water, but of course it has a very, very limited seat capacity. At the moment, we're only racing 2 boats, which means that there are 16 rower spots, but only 2 coxswain spots available. And that was what one of the things that coach wanted to do this weekend was try out some different coxswains in different boats. And so it was a good experience for me. We'll see how it turns out. And I think it's also definitely good for the rowers. They fill out these coxswain evaluations, and that those go to the coaches, and then the coaches will give us information from that on how we can best serve our crew. And yeah, so they're all about how helping the coxswains help the rowers, and we can't seat race as we normally would in the year, where we would bring the boats together and just jump into the other boat because of COVID protocols. So coach had us do it this way.
Interesting. And then, these were just straightforward 2K races, right? But there are those 5Ks where the head races, right? Where you have to steer, like really steer, right? I mean, you've had those in scrimmages against Bowdoin and Colby. What are those like compared to these straight on 2K?
Well, they're much longer. You have to, I mean, there's certainly a different race plan for each of them. You're not, most of those longer races you're not doing a start at the beginning. It's a rolling start. And I mean, in terms of my voice, I'm definitely getting hoarse at the end, especially at the 5Ks. But certainly in yesterday's races, my voice was certainly hitting its limit towards the end. In fact, at the Tufts course, it does have a pretty big curve in it. So steering is important there. It's also, of course, it's so important in like the Head of the Charles,
Sure.
Which is a very curvy race. But steering is still important, whether you're going in a straight line or on a curvy course.
Excellent. So this past year where there hasn't been really competitive racing, how has the team dealt with it? How have you dealt with it from your perspective?
I think like without the competition, it's been kind of tough on everyone. But we're a team, we support each other, and that's important. In the fall, we weren't given permission to go out in boats with coxswains. For quite a while, we were in small boats, basically roommate pairs only, if you're in a double, or you can be in a single. So I spent a lot of time just on the launch, feeling lucky that I could actually be there, even though I wasn't in a boat. And then towards the end, we were given a couple opportunities to go out on the water and just have some fun in the practice time. And yeah, I enjoyed that.
So this weekend, you'll be going back to the Malden River. You're going to be very familiar with the Malden River. It sounds like it'll be Tufts and Colby this time. What's the team you think will be working on this week in terms of getting prepared for this next weekend as you continue to build up, hopefully for IRAs, right?
Yeah, that's the eventual hope. I think we're coming at it with a little bit of a revenge attitude. We, at least in the 1V, we lost to Tufts, I think, by 6 seconds. And so we hope that, we've only had 3 days on the water, maybe with 5 more, who knows how much time we can find and really bring it to them next week. And then we haven't raced Colby. I don't know much about them, but we'll get to race them kind of like we did this past week, where we just raced one-on-one. So we'll see.
Well, and that was the tricky part, right? Because the team was coming off, all of Bates Athletics was coming off a 2-week shutdown, right? So that must have been tough for the rowers, I imagine, right?
Oh yeah. I think, we try to keep our fitness up. Just if we don't have access to an erg room, running outside, biking, if you can, do a lot of core, did some yoga, which was nice, just inside. But yeah, we've this past week has definitely been a rush to just get thrown in the boat and go at it.
On the women's side, senior coxswain and 2-time NCAA champion Liza Folsom led the first varsity 8 to a pair of wins on Sunday, beating both the Continentals and the Jumbos. Liza, you were abroad in fall of 2019, so this was really a long time coming for you to get back out on the water here in spring of 2021. What's this whole process been like for you to, as a coxswain at least, to stay on your game, I guess, over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely been an adjustment, but I think like for me and the other coxswains and the rowers too, it has kind of come back to us earlier than we thought. But yeah, it was definitely a shock. Like I wasn't even on the SCOG since end of my sophomore year. So definitely a big change.
So how did the preparations go? There was the 2-week shutdown we had, of course, but how were the preparations leading up to this first race?
Well, before we were in lockdown, we were lifting and erging together, which definitely helped everybody get back in the swing of things. And when we're in the erg room, all the coxswains we'll cox the rowers kind of like how we do in a boat. So that definitely helped all of us, I think, kind of get back in the right mindset. But yeah, lockdown was definitely kind of a little bit of a setback, but I think like from the first day on the water, we just like hopped right back into it. Like it almost, parts of it felt like we hadn't really left, which was really nice.
Terrific. And then you have some familiar names, some fellow folks who were sophomores when you won the championship in 2019. So that must be nice to have some familiar folks in the boat with you. You've coxed before, I suppose, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like I think like everyone in the boat had rowed with their pair partner like at least once or twice before. Like no, like we had all rowed together,
Right.
like for at least a year or two. So that definitely helped us out a lot.
So tell me about the races. I mean, how'd they go from your perspective? What was some of the strengths? What are some things you'll be working on leading up to hopefully NCAAs?
Yeah, I think both the races went like as well as I like ever could have thought they would. Yeah, it was super exciting. Like I think we had really solid starts to both of them, and then it's really nice being able to race twice at the same race course because like you can only really improve after the first one, especially after only being on the water for 4 days or 3 days before. So yeah, I think just like being able to have two races and just like that first race against Hamilton going pretty well just really helped our confidence and like made us feel more ready and like even more excited for the next one. So it's definitely nice having two, but yeah, they felt really good. And I think because we just started, like just every stroke we take and every time we're on the water together will just make us better. So.
And then the Malden River, you're going to become pretty familiar with it over the next few weeks, right? What's the course like?
The Tufts course is interesting because normally for 2,000 meter races, it's just a straight shot down. But because of the way their river is, there's two small turns in it, which is really unusual for a 2K race. But I don't know, it's kind of fun. It like, one boat has the advantage for one turn and then the other team has the advantage for the other turn. So I don't know, it's just, I kind of like it. It's kind of exciting. They're not the biggest turns ever too, so it doesn't mess anybody up too bad, but yeah, it's a fun course.
Yeah, so small turns when you're starting simultaneously with other teams. So can it get a little bit hairy if you will, or is it pretty controlled?
It's pretty controlled. I mean, it's nothing like the head of the Charles where you need to like make a side, pull super hard to get around. It's just like you can do it all with your steering, but if you have the inside turn for one part, it'll make it seem like one team's ahead, and then if it could switch around the other turn when the other team has like less distance to row. So yeah, that can kind of mess with your head a little bit, but the like second half of the course is straight, so it all evens out at the end.
What has coach's message been overall to the team? I mean, how has he been like, saying the team, should approach this season because it is much different than previous years?
Yeah, well, lately we've kind of been talking about like how kind of two things, like I don't know, I was like barely thinking we would be able to practice again. So like every practice we've had since then has just been like a bonus and like just something extra and exciting that we get to do. So just like kind of having that mindset of like each practice being like such a privilege and like so exciting and like something we never thought we'd do again has been like really motivating. And then yeah, like I was kind of saying before, he's also been talking a lot about how like at this point, because we weren't on the water for so long, like every practice we have will just do nothing but make us better. Like every stroke is like so helpful.
It sounds like it was kind of like riding a bike. You were back in the boat and no moments of rustiness, it sounds like, for you?
No, there definitely was.
Oh, okay.
I was just expecting there to be way more, but yeah, me and my boat were kind of talking about it. Like we're really worried about it like before the first practice, but after the first one we were like, wasn't our finest, but way better than we thought it would be. So no, but I was definitely rustier. But
what was like maybe a small moment of rustiness for you, perhaps?
I guess yesterday we like broke out one of our new boats and it has like this interesting different way of steering it, and I just completely forgot how to like deal with it until I like sat in it. I was like, oh god, like what am I looking at? But it came back to me eventually. Took a couple laps, but I got there.
So that was in practice, not during the race then.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. Well, every boat's a little bit different than it sounds like. I mean, what are some of the things you have to learn, I guess, when you have a new boat like that?
Well, yeah, it was, luckily we got to row it sophomore year. It was like the year it was new, but it's just like meant for it's a lot like stiffer, so you have to be have even better technique in order to like make it efficient almost.
Well, any other thoughts you wanted to share about Sunday's races and what you're most looking forward to here going forward in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like so happy with it. I really never thought that we would get to race again. And I think that like everybody in my boat and like all the men and women just did like such a good job for not having raced in like 500 something days. And yeah, I just feel really proud and like impressed with everyone that we like managed to pull it together for that. So yeah, and like I was kind of saying before, I guess like every practice and race is just like something extra because we never thought we would get to do it. So definitely very excited.
Excellent. Liza Folsom, thank you so much for joining us on the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
The golf teams hosted competitors from Husson, Colby, and Bowdoin Sunday at Martindale Country Club for the Bobcat Invitational. On the men's side, senior captain Preston Hall eagled the 18th hole to finish tied for second place out of 19 golfers with a 78. Then for the women, first-year Alex Voight-Shelley earned medalist honors in her collegiate debut, shooting a 79 and winning by 2 strokes. Voight-Shelley joins the Bobcast to look back at the Bobcat Invitational. Alex, you're a first year at Bates. This was your first collegiate tournament. First of all, what was it like getting out there and tee it up against some college competition there?
It was great. I had a really nice time. I was really nervous at first, actually, although I didn't admit it until after the round was over. But I was just really excited to get out and compete because we didn't have a fall season. So I just had a lot of fun and had a really nice time.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about growing up. You grew up in State College, Pennsylvania. When did you start playing golf?
I started playing when I was about 4. My grandpa got me into it because his dad was a professional golfer. So I just started playing with him. And then I started doing tournaments when I was about 8. And then did that for a couple of years and then started getting into like the AJGAs and, bigger things, started playing outside of Pennsylvania and just really started enjoying competing in the bigger tournaments. And then just loved it and wanted to keep going, and here I am.
Your great-grandfather then was a professional golfer. Is that what you said?
Yes, he was.
So golf goes back generations in your family. So
Yeah.
when do you start to kind of feel the same, passion for it that your grandfather and your great-grandfather clearly had for it?
I think it was like when I started competing that I was like, wow, like this is a sport that's more than just like a thing that I can do with my family. Like I can do it with my family, but I can also play against other people and meet other people from all over like the world. I played in a couple of tournaments, like world championships for US kids when I was younger, and I would meet people from everywhere and they were so good. And so I just really enjoyed competing against them and getting to know them because that was really, really fun.
Great. And then when you were looking for colleges, how did Bates first get on your radar there?
Again, that was a suggestion from my grandpa. He, I think, had done some work in Maine and had heard about Bates, and I was looking at smaller schools anyway, like NESCAC schools, because I knew I wanted to go to a smaller school. And he was like, you should check out Bates, see what it's like. And so I came for a visit. I met Coach Henry, who was our coach, and I really liked him and loved the school. Felt like a really nice environment for me academically and also athletically. So I just really liked it here. I was kind of surprised that I got in, so I took it, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
Awesome. Well, yeah, obviously it's been a weird year though. So in the fall with no competitions, how did you stay sharp? Were you able to get out on the course very much?
Yeah, I mean, like Martindale was open. Our home course Martindale was open in the fall. So I tried to get out there as much as I could. I played almost every weekend. And we had like set up practices at Martindale. And during the winter, we played at the simulator that we have here. And I was there almost every day, just because I had nothing else to do really. And I just wanted to keep my game pretty strong just in case we had a spring season. But I mean, other than that, I've just been putting in my dorm room and, trying to keep up, and it paid off. So.
Yeah, that golf simulator in Merrill Gym, fairly new. Tell me how that helps your game to use that simulator.
it's really nice because we can hit like anything we want in that simulator, and it gives us distances and ball speeds, which just helps us figure out how far we want to hit it, like how we can improve our distance, how we can improve our accuracy. And then you can also play real courses in the simulator, which I really enjoy. And there's a whole bunch of them. So sometimes I just play like 9 or 18 like in the simulator, and it just helps us practice when we can't be outside, which is actually really nice for us.
You can probably play some pretty famous courses, like is Pebble Beach in there? Or
I don't think Pebble Beach is in there. I really wanted it to be. I can't remember what course I played recently, but I want some like Scottish courses in there. Like I want to play St. Andrews. I want to play Royal Dornick, but I don't know. I got to talk to somebody about that.
Speaking of courses, how's Martindale compared to some of the courses you've played growing up?
I really like Martindale. It feels like 2 different courses on the front and the back 9. Back 9's a lot different from the front, which is really fun. It's difficult and it takes a lot to get used to, but I really like that because of it. And a lot of the holes remind me of like places that I've played in Pennsylvania, which is nice. Like the 10th hole reminds me of this course called Sunny Hannah, which I played really well at. So I think there's like some good karma for me on that hole. I think Martindale is probably one of my favorite courses, actually, just because it feels like a homey kind of a course, because I'm at Bates, and it's really pretty out there, and it just feels really nice to get out there and play all the time. So I really like it there.
How are you feeling about finishing first in your first ever collegiate golf tournament?
This is pretty exciting. I wasn't expecting to do that. I just wanted to get out there and play as well as I could and just have fun. And that's what I did. And yeah, I don't know. I was surprised. I didn't know that I won until like last night, because they didn't post the scores. And then my coach texted me. So I was really excited. But yeah, no, the whole goal for me was just to have fun. And I got to play with my teammate Ellie, who played really well too. So it was great to play with her. I love her. She's the best. So yeah, I was just really excited when I found out.
Yeah, Ellie Murphy, a senior on the women's golf team. What have you learned maybe playing with her? She has some experience under her belt here at Bates.
She's wonderful. She's such a really nice, kind human being. She's very patient when she plays golf. I need to get a little bit better at that, I think. But it was really nice to play with her, because even when I messed up a shot, or like I had a double on one of the holes and I was like angry at myself, she was like, no, it's like fine. We've got plenty of holes to go. We're all good. So I'm learning that, to be more patient and not to get angry at myself, because I was like nervous for the first tournament, and I was like, I have to play well. And Ellie just kept me grounded. So I really enjoyed playing with her. She's just such a wonderful person. So it was special to be able to play with her.
Terrific. Some of us consider a double bogey a good score, but that's some of us. What were some memorable holes for you on Sunday that really stand out in a good way, I guess?
The first and the last holes, I birdied both of those. So those were probably my favorite holes to play. But no, the first hole always scares me, because it's kind of straight uphill at first, and then it levels off, but you can't see the pin on your first shot. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but once I hit my second shot pretty close to the pin, I got pretty confident. And so that was a really nice hole to start off on. And then the last hole is such a great hole because it's a pretty short par 5. So if you get it close to the, at least close to the green, you have a shot at eagle, shot at birdie. And that I knew that I needed to birdie that hole to break 80. And I really wanted to do that. So that was a big high for me when I was able to birdie that hole.
Yeah, I think and senior captain Preston Hall on the men's side got an eagle on that one, I believe.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he came down. He watched Ellie and I play our last 2 holes, and he told me that he eagled the hole, and that just made me even more competitive. I really wanted to eagle that hole, just like Preston, but I'll take a birdie on that any day.
Certainly. And then the NESCAC championships coming up. Oh my gosh, this weekend, right?
Yes.
I mean, very short season, but I mean, what are your thoughts? Have you ever played down there at that course before, Ledges?
I have not, so I'm a little nervous, and we're not allowed a practice round, so I'm gonna be online on Google Maps, just like trying to take a look at it before we head down there. But I'm just excited to be playing golf. I think I was not expecting us to have a season at all. And even it's so hard to get transportation and have everybody be safe while playing. So I understand that that's such a difficult thing. So I'm really just grateful to be out and to be playing and to be competing. I can't really ask for anything more. So I'm just excited for next weekend, no matter how it goes.
Great. And then thoughts you want to share about this past Sunday we haven't gotten to talk about yet?
Congratulations to the boys. I think they all did really well. Congratulations to Preston on tying second. And I just had a really great time. And congratulations to Ellie. I'm really proud of her. So a great time.
Yeah, she had a strong performance as well. Well, Alex Voight-Shelley, the medalist for the women's golf tournament there, the Bobcat Invitational on Sunday. Thank you so much for joining the Bobcast. Really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Next time on the Bates Bobcast, we'll recap an action-packed weekend of lacrosse, baseball, softball, rowing, tennis, golf, and track and field. It's the busiest sports weekend in quite some time, and we'll recap it all next time on the Bates Bobcast.
Bye.